The Nature of Predators, Part 28, by SpacePaladin 15. Memory transcription subject, Captain Sovlin, Federation Fleet Command. Date, Standardized Human Time, October 2nd, 2136. A harsh buzzing drifted into my ears, rousing me from unconsciousness. I stirred on the thin cot and grunted at the mattress's inflexibility. Terror flooded my mind as I realized where I was. Gravity this authentic could only mean I was on Earth. I had received a military greeting as soon as I neared the Sol system. When I informed them of my name and intent to surrender, the humans ordered me to power off my vessel's engines. A bridging ship jolted my shuttle and pumped a sleeping vapor through the ventilation shafts. The Predators weren't taking any chances of trickery or resistance. The accommodations were reasonable, with every basic necessity available. By comparison, the Orcs kept their captives in squalor. A pen designed for 5 soldiers would be the size of my room's bed. The reptiles had no qualms about piling us on top of each other and degrading our dignity. Water and a fruit bowl were sitting on a small table. The drinking liquid wasn't the unsanitary sludge I'd expect from predators. My cell was caged by a barred door, but it was spacious enough to walk around. The barrier slid open as the buzzing noise finished, and shoe thuds echoed through the vicinity. I might never see a person that's not a predator again, I realized with a chill. That's very likely. A pudgy Terran male in layered garments entered, studying me with a calculating gaze. My spines felt like they were about to worm their way out of my back. Those eyes were revolting, an unyielding assertion of dominance. Was he dissecting me in his mind, or searching for my vulnerable areas? The Predator tugged out a metal chair and beckoned me to the table with a finger. I steeled myself with the physical pain I knew was about to occur. Well, I slunk over to the opposing chair on shaking legs. Go on, then. The crown of fading white hair signified his age, I presumed. He fished a stack of papers out of a briefcase and placed some glass adornment over his eyes. The beast looked like he engorged himself on flesh regularly. How else would he have fattened up like that? Words were insufficient to describe the numbing dread snowballing in the pit of my stomach. Figures that the humans waited until I woke up to start reciprocating the cruelty. I was on the other end of Marcel's plight, caged with the monster with no way out. Hi, Sovlin. My name is Anton Kozlov, and I'm your legal counsel, the human said. I cleared my throat. Legal counsel? Yes, if you're unsatisfied with my services, we can find you another representative. I don't understand. Representative? Represent me for what? You're going to be put on trial for crimes against humanity. Your case has been referred to the International Crime Court by the UNSC. That is United Nations Security Council. My ears could hardly process what they were hearing. Humanity had a proper court system that relied on evidentiary claims to establish guilt and stable institutions. It all sounded so tame and normal. And United Nations? Since when is the humans' government unified? Every source says they do nothing but war with each other. First off, such decorum is undeserved. There is no question that I did what I'm accused of. I stuttered. Why would there even be a hearing? Anton's lips curved down. Everyone has a right to a trial, presumed innocent until proven guilty. We are a civilized species with laws and justice systems, you know. I wish you weren't. Savage retribution would at least alleviate my guilt over my own sadism. This calm professionalism was twisting the knife. The self-proclaimed lawyer had to know he was defending someone who would have killed his whole species in a heartbeat. If I stumbled across him in my domain, I would have tormented him without refrain. Anyhow, let's go over the charges and the facts of the matter. The ICC believes that your case has gravitas enough to fall under their jurisdiction. The Predator passed a packet in front of me, which detailed my crimes in their angular script. While you tortured a single human, it was intended as an attack against our entire species. You're the first alien to face trial by Terran law, so I'd say that's important enough. Okay. You also bore the intent to genocide civilians, which, granted, there is less direct evidence of. If you cannot understand these charges, let me know. We can try to translate them into your language, though. I cannot vouch for the accuracy. I have a translator. I understand just fine. I lowered my head in shame, despising every word of sophistication he uttered. How do I confess? I am guilty. I do not wish to dispute the charges. I definitely don't want to see the evidence of what I did to Marcel. I wish I could forget about that beast. Oh, stars. What if he comes to watch the proceedings? You can plead guilty, but I think there is a solid defense in the making. Of course, the evidence against you is airtight. The human paused and tipped a finger to his temple. Maybe they try to use their hands like we use tail signals. With your innate resentment of predators, I think there is substantial evidence to argue insanity. We can beseech the court for leniency on those grounds. What? That's not what I want. You're predators. You can think of a brutal and agonizing way for a man to die. I beg your pardon. I want my actions repaid. Request the worst imaginable sentence your government can give. Please. Something torturous. Anton squinted at me. He poured a glass of water and pushed it toward me with a sigh. The primate must be mocking me by concocting such a defense. There was no psychological excuse for my untenable hatred. I failed at every opportunity to revert my course, and never used a scrap of logic. The last thing I wanted was for Terran judges to empathize with my perspective. The predators needed to prove themselves to be a little unhinged or vindictive. Maybe they could have some feelings, but they weren't just ordinary docile people. Prisoners are not tortured on this planet, the human explained. It's explicitly forbidden by our laws. While you are in UN custody, your needs will be cared for. You will be imprisoned if convicted, likely for a period of 10 to 20 years. My eyes widened. That's it. That's it. Imprisoned where? Like where I am now? Yes. This facility was specifically set aside in case we captured any Federation prisoners of war. Make an exception. What kind of predators are you? The lawyer eyed my flailing claws nervously. You need to calm down. I'll be back when you're ready to discuss your case. The predators had a much better grasp on their aggression than I thought. There wasn't a scratch on my physical form, nor had there been the deployment of intimidation tactics. Even screaming at Anton couldn't evoke the violent reaction I desired. If anything, my antagonization seemed to frighten the old man. If you're just going to dream up excuses, don't come back at all, I growled. I don't need legal counsel. The white-haired human collected his belongings, shaking his head in what I thought was frustration. The refined conversation wasn't at all on par with my expectations. They were supposed to enact all sorts of predatory compulsions on me, not to confine me under humane conditions to ponder what I had done. This is the worst outcome. They have every chance to return the favor, yet they choose to be better. Listen, if you want to plead guilty, that's your right. Anton paused at the door as he was buzzed out by the guards. But let me test the waters first. See what sort of deal the UN are willing to offer. Why would they offer anything? You're still one of the Federation's most brilliant tacticians. That counts for something. Fine. I really don't care anymore. Excellent. Oh, and Sovlin, there's... Oh shit. Someone else here to see you. You may want to refuse him. Would Cap here dare to turn me away? A steaming voice hissed, so throaty that it sounded like a snarl. I have a right to face him. The lawyer hurried out, and a muscular silhouette appeared by the doorframe in his place. The new predator was baring his teeth, with strained breathing that verged on panting. This must be the interrogator I was waiting for. I curled my claws for the humans to send him in, assuming they were monitoring the cell somehow. They must not have understood.
Do you wish to speak to the visitor?
A gruff voice crackled through a speaker.
There is no established visiting area at the moment. We can arrange a separate meeting under more defined circumstances if you wish.
I blinked slowly. No need for pomp and circumstance. Send him in now. The bars creaked out of the way. The human stalked in with the guard tailing behind. My visitor limped like he was wounded. One arm was placed in a sling, and a bandage was tied around his leg. His short hair bore an orange tinge, but it was no more than stubble on his scalp. The predator's face was beet red, marred by 3 long scars that carried a lighter shade. The pattern of those marks clicked with the nagging images in my head. I gasped in horror and struggled to keep myself still. My eyes turned toward the floor as Marcel shoved his crooked nose inches from my face. Every part of me wanted to hide under the bed. It would be much easier to pretend he wasn't here. At least I didn't kill him. His skeleton is much healthier, and he's lopped off what little hair humans have. Stars, he's hideous.
Look at me!
The Terran roared. I took a shaky breath and gazed into his hazel eyes. The human's expression was contorted with a coat of water swelling around his pupils. The depth of emotion, when I truly looked, was staggering. Not the soulless abyss I saw them as before. It was a looking glass to his conflicted mind, which was beleaguered by resentment and recollection. Every time I close my eyes, I'm back there. I can't be touched on the neck without thinking of your fucking collar. Marcel's raspy voice sounded choked, and I heard snot bubbling in his nose. He furiously wiped away a tear. I can't look in the mirror without seeing your fucking scars. I'm reminded you by everything. My skin tingled from the feel of his warm breath on my snout. Guilt plagued me, twisting my inside into knots. How could the human return to his society and act civilized after being treated like an animal? Witness trickled down my own cheek, and my vision grew fuzzy. I could see truth in his words, that the anguish wreaked havoc on his mind daily. Maybe beating the shit out of me or killing me would give him some closure. I don't want to hurt you again, but when you start attacking me, I won't be in control anymore. I suggest you start with the claws or tie up my paws. I croaked. The predator slammed a fist on the table, baring his teeth. All I want is to know why. What I ever done to you? Why did you do it? Because when I look at you, I see the officer. I'm sorry. You're sorry? Fuck you. He spat. You're a piece of shit, you know. A lying sack of shit. How am I lying? Tell me the reason. You said they took everything from you when you were about to kill me. What did you mean? You don't care. I don't want to talk about that, ever. Don't you owe me that much? I drummed my claws on the chair. If Marcel could derive meaning from that wretched tale, it was something I had to rehash one more time. Sorrow filled my throat, just reminiscing about it. Oxar shuttle snuck past our defenses, and the reptilians went on the hunt. One of the first places they landed was my neighborhood. The Gojid Armada's efforts failed to stave them off. Therefore, it was my fault that those monsters tormented my family. Unspeakable things were done to the only two people I loved. I spectated the whole event from a holopad that was dropped on the floor in panic. The awful screams were something I tried and failed to blot out of my mind. The reason I led that famed charge against the Orcs fleet was the paralyzing grief I felt that day. It was meant as suicide, dying in a wretched blaze of glory. Instead, I was saddled with a heroic mantle and consigned to live for nothing more than vengeance. They killed my family, while I was on call to wish my daughter good night. Happy. It's no excuse. Marcel stepped away at last, pacing by the door. I was surprised he didn't throw that back in my face and try to reopen the wound. Even if humans could feel empathy, there was no reason to extend that to me. Slanik's words about how kind and gentle this predator was rang in my ears. The Vanille staked his life on that belief. This isn't someone who is cruel and sadistic. This is a good person, who is dying on the inside. Because of you. Indeed. There's no excuse for what you did. The predator decided. But I saw what the Orcs do. I saw a lot of things I can't begin to describe. Saw how? It's not the same on television. I didn't get shot twice sitting on the couch, Sovlin. I deployed on your cradle, don't you call it? You don't even give your fucking homeworld a proper name. How is that any worse than naming your planet dirt? Well, fine, on your cradle. I saw Oxar soldiers munching on a Gojid's organs in the middle of a fucking battle. Them plugging people off the streets to God knows what fate. Us racing to evacuate anyone. Cities wiped off the map, and explosions all around us. Marcel's voice quavered with horror, as his eyes stared blankly at the wall. There was a grim sincerity in his testimonial. It would be easy to interpret his anecdote as gloating, but he seemed saddened by the destruction of my homeworld. The humans hadn't wished such a senseless fate upon us. It was us who yearned for a genocide against their race. I chewed at my claws with despondency, mourning the infinite loss of the cradle. The question nagged at my mind whether any humans partook in the flesh consumption, but I bit back that morbid curiosity. I should just let the predator continue uninterrupted. There were children crushed to death by their own parents, left broken in the streets, he recalled. A massacre as far as the eye can see. The stench of death, flies buzzing in the air. You all did that to yourselves. Humans would never do that to our kids. A predator speaking as though a stampede was a conscious choice, and claiming the moral high ground. This was all so bizarre. The notion of humans caring for their young or having any kind of family unit was jarring. To think of them forming attachments felt alien to my brain. Somehow, you're the worst of it all, Sovlin. I will never escape what you did. I swallowed. So, what do we do now? Are you going to kill me? Oh, I dreamed about killing you, tearing you limb from limb. Marcel pinched the bridge of his crooked nose. But that's not who I am. Not to Nulia, not to Slanik, and not to myself. You don't get to take that away from me. I don't understand. Take what away? The predator's lips curved up into a snarl, revealing his pointed canines. How I treat a monster. It says a lot more about me than you. I'm proud to be human, and I wake up every morning without feeling like a total piece of shit. Can you say the same? Marcel stalked away with a limping gait, and the door clanged open at his behest. The human receded down the corridor, as did the UN guard shadowing him. The heavy clops of their feet faded out of earshot. My spines began to settle, left without the company of any predators. That final question resonated through my head. The scarred flesh-eater knew that answer as well as I did. It was my treatment of a perceived abomination that shaped me into one myself. And no, I don't think I'd ever feel pride or contentment again. The spark that made me Sovlin, the brazen officer, was gone for good. When the Terran lawyer returned, I decided to go along with his merciful plots. Humanity treated monsters with dignity for their own sake, and who was I to ruin it for them?